Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. Happy Labor Day. And in honor of Labor Day, today's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to ask you to put in some labor. Today, we are going to talk about definitions, emotional reactions, and political belief. Because in the United States, we have a very narrow scope of acceptable political belief. And when you step outside that, man, people get worried real quick. There are a lot of isms that people in the United States have a very emotional reaction to. And I say that it's emotional because they can't define the terms. In the US, there are 3 isms that create worry among most people. Those isms are socialism, communism, and fascism. The thing is, most Americans can't define those. They'll tell you that they're opposed to them, but they don't know what they are. And if you ask why they're opposed to them, you get the same answer for all 3. They're opposed to authoritarianism. That's the real fear. The funny part is that only one of those 3 actually requires authoritarianism. The not so funny part is that if you allow your fear to define you, rather than attempting to define your fears, any system will lead to authoritarianism, because those in power will use that fear to get you to waive your rights while you wave your flag. And authoritarianism exists, and you'll cheer it on as it arrives. Most people in the US have that reaction because of the Cold War. During the Cold War, we had to unite in the US. So a lot of propaganda went out, and it was designed to narrow the scope of acceptable political belief. Because, we had to defeat the evil empire, so we had to come together, right? And that's why. And that's also why a lot of people associate socialism and communism with authoritarianism. But those aren't necessarily part of it. They can exist, depending on how those societies are structured, but they're not required. In the US, something that's funny, because most people who watch this channel, you can define these terms. If you ever sit down and describe the individual societies, the way they're supposed to work, and I'm talking about all of them, not just those 3, and allow people to pick. But when you describe them, you don't use any ism. You don't use any word that elicits an emotional reaction. And you don't give it away as to which one is which. Most people, at least in the southern United States, most people I've done this to, they've chosen socialism, which to me is funny. And if you're new to the channel, I'm not a socialist. That's not me pushing my ideology, just statement of fact. And it makes sense if you really think about it. In the southern United States, there's a common religious belief. And if that bleeds through to people's politics, yeah, socialism is where you'd end up. That makes sense. I would wager that most of those people would actually side with social democracy, but I didn't get that far into it when I was doing this. At some point, I'll go back through and do it again. But that's one of those things that's worth exploring. A whole bunch of people have no idea what their real ideology is, what they really believe. They know the best they can do within this narrow scope of acceptable political belief in the US. So maybe today, on Labor Day, it's a good day to do it. Take a political compass quiz. But don't answer the questions with an eye towards getting the results you want. And don't answer the questions based on the status quo. Don't answer them in the sense of, oh, this is the best we can do in the world we currently live in. Answer them as if you were creating a world, an ideal society, and see where you end up. Because your ideology shouldn't be based on the best you can do in a system that most people agree is broke. That's not really a goal. That's surrender. I think today's a good day to do it because Labor Day is the celebration of American organized labor. People who had a vision of a better world and worked to get it. So it seems fitting. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.